Welcome back, guys, to episode 8 of Scrubbed In. Hope you guys have been enjoying the last few episodes. Today we're going to be talking about all things outside of medicine, right? What's the first topic that we're starting off with?
Wait, all things outside of medicine while being in medical school.
Yeah, whilst
as a medicine student, right?
Not
things outside of medicine.
No, not all things out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Go on.
What was the topic again?
This guy. All things outside of medicine.
All things outside of medicine. Fine. I wanted to do this. So, and I remember, I don't know which episode we talked about it, but one piece of advice we said was, don't leave medical school having only attained a MBBS or having only become a doctor. That's amazing and it's a beautiful thing, but I think there's so much potential that you can achieve while at university. It doesn't mean you go out and start, the next best thing. There are little things you can do that will make your time at university even more enjoyable, make you even more productive. And the first thing, and I'm sure loads of people do it, and I'm sure by the time this comes out, people would have done Freshers Week, Freshers Fairs, and they would have joined societies. A million societies.
Exactly. Well, for all the freebies. How many freebies did you take?
Man, I took 2 Raymond bags full of junk, sweets, pens, paper, highlight. I still have some of that stuff till today. Do you know?
Let us know what you guys took from Freshers Fair as well.
Let us know what societies you joined and the stuff you managed to get hold of in the Freshers Fair.
King's is pretty good. Our
King's is really good.
We had free Nando's vouchers being given out, Ryman's. We had all the medical books.
And Freshers Fair is really good fun and it's super jam-packed, and you get to see all the different societies, and you get to see the things that you are passionate about, things that you may have done at college that want to pursue, or things that you may have wanted to do but never got the opportunity to do. Let's say if you're into coding, or if you're into horse riding, into fencing, you can, I like that, let me join it. I know guys that joined like knitting clubs and all these weird and wonderful things, but you get to go and see all the different things that are available.
Guy that's got horse riding.
That
was expensive. Though.
Exactly.
How could
and go-karting and stuff like that. There's really good societies. So join lots of different societies. But what we want to talk about today is being part of a society. One being part of an existing society, like joining it as having an official role, part of the committee. And then later on, perhaps starting your own society. Obviously, if there is something you're passionate about, if there is something that you're really into and it doesn't already exist. So we can start off with the first thing I think medical students can do outside of this, lectures and clinics, is become part of a society.
Yep, exactly.
So what was your first experience or coming into contact with a society?
So I joined BSOC.
Yeah, which stands for
Bangladeshi Society.
So it was called Bangsok before.
Because obviously,
brown. Because
I'm brown. But they didn't even realize I'm Bangladeshi. You're brown, so you got a position. That's how.
Remember? So back then we were 11 or 12 years ago. So the funny thing is, so BSOC, it's called BSOC now. It used to called Bangsok,
which has got all the wrong connotations with it.
But it's actually Bangladesh Society, or the Bangladeshi Society. Obviously because we're both Bangladeshi. Back then, because there weren't that many Bengalis on campus, especially medics, it was basically you Bengali, grab by the collar, that's it, you guys are part of the committee now. BSOC, we've got events.
We didn't know what we were doing because we were like 17, 18 years old.
So you end up in these things that you had no idea of doing. And a lot of people, before I start, I want to say, a lot of people get through medical school and not get involved in societies, involved in these things, because they're so caught up in lectures and feeling they're going to fall behind. And then the people that join later on, they regret it and they're like, I wish I joined, I wish I got to meet you guys, I wish I got to form that bond you lot have, because we did a lot of society work. So Bangladesh Society was the first society we ever joined. At the time, it won the award for the best society of the year, or the best impact society. The ethos or the principle at the time was a lot of widening participation, widening access, outreach work, going to schools and communities and teaching them, helping people get into medical school, going to care homes.
Back then, we were one of the, I think there were very few Bangladesh societies, or Bangsoks, if you say that were actually doing those sort of things. I think a lot of societies were based on the partying sort of environment at the time. I think
we were the very
our
few.
society was one of the very few that was at that particular moment in time going out to care homes, going into schools, doing free health checkups and things like that. So definitely.
It was really good. And that we just ended up doing it because we were grabbed by the collar. And the funny thing is, we can talk about what roles we did and the different events we had. But the funny thing is, before I graduated, the final year of med school, I happened to be at the annual general meeting, or when you kind of release the positions for different societies, and it happened to be the Bangladesh Society one, and people were fighting for positions.
Okay.
There were like media officer, technology officer, content, and there's so many different names and roles now, which is amazing, which didn't exist back then. And people are literally going up on a stage, pitching themselves, saying, I want to be your media officer because X, Y, and Z. I think I can do this. Whereas before, for us, it was like, right, regardless.
We literally got grabbed.
Literally grabbed by the collar, and that's it. You're going to do events, you're going to do policy, and this is event, and this is event, you need to make it organized, do whatever. Do you know what I mean? But now people are fighting for it. So it shows how much potential and how amazing these societies are. And you have to remember, societies, it gives you a skill set which you can go on to use later on in your career, later on in universities. You can start organizations, charities, startups, and we'll talk about that. But I think before we go and talk about all of those exciting stuff, it's important to understand the foundations. The thing, it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. No.
The stuff we do now, we're grateful for doing it, but it's a lot of the stuff we learned from societies. So our role was publicity office or something, innit?
No, we didn't have a very definitive role. It was like organize one day, market one day, and that's how we were just like rolling along. And then one day, just remember that day in SU when the president sat us down, and then she was basically, I think what happened was me and Abdul were supposed to organize 2 events.
We weren't pulling our weight. We were not pulling our weight.
Basically, we weren't pulling our weight, and so she sat us around the table and had a go at everyone.
She had to go at us too.
Because I think what happened, we were the most junior guys there, right? So they were 4th year, 5th year medics, and then they were relying on me and you, who got dragged into the Society A.
We did not join. We did not do an application. I didn't even want to be part of it, but I ended up doing it.
But anyways, and then they were like, "You guys flopped. You guys didn't do this. You guys didn't do that. You guys didn't do that." And do you remember her last line? And again, it's always at me. Just like that registrar who gave me a random bollocking. It was at me mostly, and you were just sat there looking at me. Right. So it's at me. And I remember her last words were, she looked around the table and said, "If you want to leave," and she ended up looking at me. Just like, "Feel free to get up and leave."
And the door's there.
And I just remember, right? So, like, she was looking. Imagine if she's standing there or sitting there. I just froze, and I think you noticed I just froze. I just started, and what happened was, I think you guys thought, "What's going on?" And I was thinking, what happened was, I now started to picture 2 different scenarios. I pictured myself standing up and walking out and sticking my middle finger up.
That's what we thought. We thought, when I say I thought, like, oh my days, is he gonna do it? No. And knowing me, obviously I'm loyal, and whatever he does, I have to back it.
You have to do.
I have to back it, right? So if he gets up and walks,
you were sweating, please.
So if he gets up and walks and leaves the room, obviously you have to walk up and leave the room as well, innit? Because we're in this together.
I remember.
So I'm like, yo, are we doing this or what? Like, what's happening? What's the protocol? But he's just zoned out. Like Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange's Avengers. When he goes through like a million different scenarios in his head, and then like, what's the guy? The body's.
But that's exactly what. So in my head, for you guys, it was like for 5 minutes, this guy's just having a seizure,
out, bro.
But for me, I was picturing. So I had one scenario, me getting up, walking out, Abdul following, and then the society sort of breaking down, and then getting into arguments and fights. And then the other scenario came into play, which was like the more angelic sort of sensible decision coming across. And he was like, "Stay here, just say." And then we will improve, and then look at Abdul and say, "We're gonna burn the society down." And then,
the funny thing is, we actually hated the society for the first year because they made us do lots of work, random work. We didn't know what we were doing, right?
I emailed one school saying, "Can we just come in, please?" Like, with no reason. Like, at the time, I didn't know how to.
So we didn't understand. But they were doing like amazing projects. It's just, I don't know, maybe we were just like ghetto guys that came up and ended up doing this, and they had loads of events like straight from the beginning of the year. And we ended up doing it. Then second, because I think we stayed part of Bangladesh society for the vast majority of our years at medical school.
Throughout.
Yeah, and then
but don't forget, in year 1 they demoted us to serving biryani at one event.
At one point we were so bad. The only things we were good at.
I'll show you the picture. It's on our page, I think.
The only thing we were good at was basically like giving out food to the people that came for the health camp, because we were useless. We were so useless. We couldn't organize nothing. We couldn't even call at school and organize a day where we go in and teach them about healthy eating, healthy diet, and we couldn't do any of it. We were just useless. Then obviously as time goes on you learn, and then you come to appreciate what they're trying to do, what they're teaching you, and it's basically helping the younger generation to continue. And that was kind of beautiful to see. So the vice president would then become the president, and then the vice president, so on and so forth, and like loads of our close friends would take over the society, and they'll make it better and better, and we'll do more and more different projects. So, and Bangladesh society at King's was like super known. We did loads of outreach and community work, which we enjoyed doing. Like, I didn't mind doing the work because it was something I was passionate about, something I really enjoyed, and the opportunity back then, just like more or less, like how many years ago? 6, 7, 8 years, a long time ago, man. Think about more than.
Shout out to the 2012 president who sat us down and gave us a mad bollocking.
And gave us a lecture, made us realize our ways, and then so fair credit to her. And then all the successive presidents. But society-wise, join any society as long as you have an interest in it. But the skills, what I would say, rather than kind of talking about all the different things you do, I think it's important they learn. Like, I learned how to be organized. I learned how to kind of balance, socializing, going out, as well as lectures, but at the same time being serious and being able to organize an event. But then even organizing a small school event, which may be really easy for some people, was a lot. You had to call a lot of people, you had to make sure everyone's available, you had to book a meeting, you had to do marketing, you had to do media, put leaflets out, get people to come in. So these are skills you subconsciously pick up that you will carry with the rest of your life or the rest of your career. So stuff like that, organizing, leading a team, attending meetings, these are skills that you can learn from any society, and these are the things we did. And obviously our roles became more, not important, but they became more essential and more like we were
seniors then, so we eventually climbed the ranks. I don't know how, but we climbed the ranks, and then we had to then, for the new freshers that walked in, teach them what the ethos of the society was. And on that note as well, how you're saying it's about skills. Last week we talked about a BSc providing you an opportunity to mix with other people. Societies do the same. Because it's not just medics in a society.
I agree 100%.
So in the society we have people studying maths, English, doing photography, videography, and all those other things. And you all come together, and your creative talents then increase, because you're then starting to network and work with a very creative individual, or you're working with someone who's very critical, very organized, and you start picking up their skills. So I think a society is exactly that. It's an opportunity to meet people from different disciplines, to also then come together and develop different skills, which then we've gone on to use in our postgraduate lives, in our own startups, and all these other things that we're doing.
So I definitely agree.
So we actually then went on, if you remember. So we, after learning our
the ropes
in BSOC, then jumped into an academic society in which we ran together. Do you remember? So
what was it called? The Medical Education and Research Journal Society, MERGE.
MERGE.
And do you know what the cool thing about society is? You get to get hoodies, and you get your names on it. These little things, like, now I don't really care, but back then it was like, yo, you feel cool with it, because everyone. And to be fair, especially at King's, everyone's repping one society or another.
Exactly,
So you want to have the best events, the most sign-ups or whatever. So how was that? Because you started there and you were the brains behind it, and kind of revived it all, especially from an academic point of view.
So I actually took over. So it wasn't. So I remember, there was this point, right? So I was really junior. In second year of med school, I wanted to be president, and I remember. So your mentor from your your BSc. So I think it was me and him who were competing for the president role. And what happened was he got the role, and he was obviously way more senior, fourth year, final year medic. So he understood how a society works and everything. And I remember at that stage, when I lost, I was like, I sent him an email like, how did you get it? What bias was involved? I was so angry, man. But anyways, I then took on a vice president role, and I remember learning the ropes under him, and it just developed me so much more. I understood then, because I was planning to jump from BSOC
like a normal committee
fluid role to the president of an academic society that's doing great things. So I think it was a blessing in disguise. I was vice president under a mentor who then taught me how an academic society works. And I remember then, so I just learned all the ropes. I learned how to run events, all of that jazz. And then the year after that, I became president. That's when we sort of started to work together. And it was fun. And we designed our own booklets. I remember we got our own exam banks, our own exam questions. We published our own book as well for people to use and utilize. We did our own events. Do you remember so again, down to organization from BSOP, we transferred it over. We organized a full event on how to appraise a paper, which all second years had to sit an exam on. Do you remember? And we did that very well. It was good feedback.
The Oscar scheme.
The Oscar scheme, exactly.
That was famous. It was the first that came.
We were the first to do that. So we were the
talking
guys
about
who
innovation.
Designed. Exactly. So bringing in innovation, right? So the peer-to-peer sort of educational scheme. So that's where a mentor teaches a junior whatever topic. There's loads of research that I did and presented on that, which you can Google or search up. But anyways, that's the general concept. Someone senior, one step ahead of you, teaching someone one step behind to help them jump through the hoops.
Yeah. But the way we did it was organized. Like before, it was haphazard. You're looking around, and it's only between. The key with that was we made a massive, like back then it's all like Excel spreadsheets. So you have all the senior medics and then the junior medics, and then we put them in groups, and they used to have regular sessions, and it was like a proper peer-to-peer scheme. So it wasn't just like our group of friends with people we know. It allowed people that didn't really have other people they could look up to, or other, weren't as involved in medical school to have a fair chance. And we're about that. Like the one thing that, remember when you said in college where you were left out, because those mates you kind of revised or practiced for interviews and you were left out, it gave those people. And to be fair, in medical school, you need to practice with senior people who've done it, who've been on the wards, and they'll teach you the tips and tricks. So it kind of evened out the playing field and put a system in place for people to practice with other people.
And then, again, it was those skills. So we created a whole spreadsheet. We had seen, and we didn't just have, I think a common way of some people do it now is just have a WhatsApp group. And I think that's still inconsistent. We made sure all of our seniors were committed, created timetables for them, allocated everyone in a randomized manner so that it wasn't in a too friendly environment where they were just chilling, for example. So we actively promoted what we actually said in episode 1, I think, which is mentoring, and then using all of our skills from our BScs, our society work, all of that, to then run a whole scheme. That scheme, actually, I went on to like 3 years later to then use the feedback, the model, to then design a concept that then I presented at an international conference. And I remember it was booming at the time, and everyone was interested. And I know for sure that in the future it'll just get bigger and bigger, and we've got some innovative ideas as well, how we're gonna take that to a new level as well. But yeah, Merge was good working together, wasn't it?
Yeah, Merge was good fun. And then sometimes when you get to run the society yourself, you have more autonomy.
Exactly.
You get to make your own decisions. You get to control the direction of the way the society goes, and you feel a bit more empowered, and you feel like, do you know what, I've kind of leveled up. But one thing I want to remember before we move on, because there's like a few things I want to mention in this episode, it's sometimes very easy for you to jump and become the leader, very easy for you to jump and become president of a society.
Exactly.
But sometimes it just pays to just hold a year back and just become a VP or a vice and learn from someone else to see it, so you can see the pitfalls, you can see how they do it, because you don't want to end up in a role that you don't know how to do it, or you kind of bite off more than you chew, and then you do more demise, you do more harm than good. So maybe that, like you said, it was a blessing in disguise, because you got to learn what it means to be a leader, what it means to run an event, what it means. And I'll be telling you, being in a room full of medics who all have their own egos, their own ideas, is very difficult to control that. Do you know what I mean?
That's what it is. So I think it's also a sense of arrogance that creeps in, of having a type A personality, right? It's that thing. It's that feeling that I can lead something without having even watched it or learnt it or been under a mentor. It's that arrogance, and I think it's a good lesson, because it means going forward, I remember, if I'm going to do something, let me learn it first, let me see how someone else does it, let me take their knowledge, their skills, their tricks and tips and all of that stuff, take it in, and then I can flourish. In fact, what you're saying, it actually happened. So there was a year that merge was passed on. What happened was it was passed on to someone who I don't think actually went on to was a part of the society at first, and there was zero activity for a year. And it just shows the difference that if you jump to the top, sometimes you don't know where you're just overwhelmed with what am I going to do now? What events do I do? How did they do that event? How did they organize it? How did they contact?
Because I think it's quite easy. The difficulty, and I think it's life in general. It's like it's very easy to see when other people are doing a lot of things, and they're doing things left, right, and center, and then you're like, oh wow, I could do that. If I'm in this, but then when you're in their shoes and it's when it's your turn to do and it's your turn to perform, you realize how damn hard it was. Even when you are as president, I would never know how hard it was for you, because it's always easy to see other people, and it's always even easier to critique people. Do you know what I mean? But unless you're in their shoes, unless it's you doing it, then you come to realize how difficult it is to run a like a startup or a company or whatever.
Exactly.
But I think obviously there will be times where there is no role. You have to become the leader. You have to be, and you have to kind of learn on the job. But I would say if you ever have the opportunity, always work for a society, always work for an organization, always work for a startup, learn from them, and then go and do your own thing.
Exactly.
Unless you're in a position where you have such a sick idea that you need to do yourself, I would always recommend learning from other people first. That's how I am personally, and I think it's helped me a lot.
No, absolutely right. Work with people who are working ahead of you, so you can learn why do they think like that? How are they doing this? Why do they think that? How do they think laterally? So then it allows your skills and you to then level up. And then what happens is you can then after that and say, you know what? I can now start my own, or I can lead. I can now go for leadership positions and so forth. But bang on. Cool.
So we've kind of talked about the one thing that I would recommend, and it's the easiest thing to do, is get involved in a society. And like we said, if you feel there's a society that isn't right for you, or you feel there's a society or there's something that's lacking on university campus, you can always go ahead and start your own society.
Exactly.
And then there's other positions you can take up, part of the SU student union, and some of these positions you can take here at medical school and even get paid for it. So there's lots of different opportunities. Don't come to medical school and think, you know what, it's up to you. If you want to smash medicine, do it. I'm not forcing you to become part of a society, but I feel you can learn a lot from a society that you never learn from lectures. So we've kind of talked about society. Another hot topic, and people that kind of been messaging me just because of the background reform, is finances. So a lot of people, so like we said, the university is full of lots of different people, lots of different characters. You have people that are from very, very wealthy background, where their parents have stable jobs and finance is an issue for them, and coming to university is something they can focus on and give 100%. Then you may have people that are similar to our background, where your parents aren't well off, and there's always this culture of you want to fit in, you always want to go out with the rest of the medics or the rest of the students, but over time going out becomes very expensive. Do you know what I mean? Buying textbooks becomes very expensive, and it's the question of how do I manage finances, which I think some people might be interested. We both have very different ways of doing it, so we can talk about your way first.
I mean, my way was right, and you'll see I advocate it so much, is that the value of time for me is it's way more than what a job offers. Well, at that stage anyway, because the only jobs at that time you could possibly get would be £10 an hour.
Even less than that, like retail and like basic admin jobs.
So at that time I was like, it's not worth my time. I can do a lot more with, or I can get a better grade or get a distinction merit. I can go on a different course or whatever. So I put it down to, I'm actually not going to get a job. I need to find other ways. And what I did was, I sat down and I looked at all my finances. I looked at what grants I was eligible for. Then I looked at what grants I can seek out. So we have to understand, right, for those people who are actually struggling with money, or not struggling, they've just got tight finances and they want to loosen up a little bit, right? There's so many funds out there, right, that you can actually, you're eligible to apply, but it goes on like random stuff. Like I think a lot of people actually miss out on those funds who actually deserve it, right? You have to remember, if you don't apply for it, that money is going to go to someone who may not necessarily need it as much as you, right? So the money's out there. So I used to seek out different grants and see what I'm eligible for. I used to manage my own funds. So I was very strict, very regimented. So in the sense that, bro, I didn't have lunch.
Yeah, I remember.
I didn't have lunch. Right?
You're very meticulous with your finances.
Exactly. I sacrificed. So things that I would do. I used to think about how can I maximize my funds, so it got me everything. I took a bus to uni.
Yeah.
Did I do it for every year, or did I do it
pretty much most of it, man? Until clinics, when we couldn't physically get there by bus.
Bro, I swapped a 20-minute journey by tube for an hour on the bus, right? Just to save. Over a year, though, I think it was at least £1,000.
It was there's different, massive difference, man.
Travel is expensive. I'm sure it was over £1,000 I saved in that side. Then what I did was lunch. Lunch is expensive in central London, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
You used to have
hot food every day.
£10, £10 a day, like £10-15. You used to have lunch 4 times or something some days. Yeah, you add that up, times it by 5 because you're in 5 days. Then times it by the number of weeks you're in. Again, it's a couple of grands. So what I used to do is, that's it, I'm having lunch. I'm having home food, or I'm gonna just smell other people's food. Right?
You know, I used to be skinny.
Yeah,
like he makes me look very skinny now. But he was skinnier than me. Like he was stick thin.
Oh man, I was stick thin. I remember, and it was unhealthy. By the way, that's unhealthy. Don't do that. Don't manage your finances where you don't eat.
Don't skip lunches.
Yeah, don't skip lunches. But I used to do that because I was sort of really focused on, I'm gonna make this money work, right? So budgeting, I was really good at budgeting and allocating funds and making savings in certain places. What else did I do?
You didn't have a phone contract, remember? And you had a
that's exposing me, bro. You can't expose me on this podcast. Yeah, but he said it anyways. Oh man, so
what was your theory? Tell them the theory. The theory.
So this is the theory. Yeah, so I didn't get a contract till I think 3rd year of uni.
Man, you didn't even have WhatsApp.
Wait, so listen. So my theory was this: if I have 10 friends, right, and 9 of them are on a contract, there's one person in that circle, right, who doesn't need to, because everyone's got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So what you can do, just do that drop call. You know that broke text.
That call me back, I don't have enough credit.
Call me back, I don't have enough credit. Anyways, I lived off that.
That shows how old we are, by the way.
Yeah, it does. Because
that stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah. Anyways, see. If you guys pay £50 a month for a contract,
it adds up.
Yeah, it adds up. So I saved at least another 2-3 grand there.
Yeah.
Right? And what's up? I didn't pay that 99p.
Yeah.
I waited for it
now,
I waited for it to become free, and then I joined and got into the groups. Anyways, so it was all about managing my funds and budgeting. So that's one way you can do it, and then seek out all the different sort of grants
and bursaries available.
Like, for
they
example,
are available.
Did you know your own council, for example, has funds for you? Your own council. So Tower Hamlets has got its own funds for its students that need a little bit of financial support.
Okay, I didn't know
Westminster Council, Camden, all these different areas have their own council funds. Universities have their own grants and their hardship funds and all of that. And then you've got different educational charities and organizations which purely support students in that. The only thing that puts off a lot of people is that you have to do an application.
Yeah, that. To be fair, that was one of the reasons why I didn't apply for these, because I'm baseline lazy. Second is like these applications, and I think that's
baseline lazy and he's got a Mayweather lifestyle.
Yeah. So, but it's like, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. Maybe there's so many people and they need to find a way to kind of find out who needs it most and kind of regulate. Otherwise, they probably get thousands of people. But at the same time, a lot of people, because they ask for like, they want to see a bank statement and like you have to write like a whole essay on why you deserve and why you should get it. Stuff like that used to just put me off, and I wasn't really too bothered. But if you genuinely need it and you genuinely are struggling, don't let that be a barrier from you achieving exceeding in medical school. Because there's loads of bursaries, loads of grants that you can apply for. You just need to go looking for it, which is I kind of hope they're more available or like they're more widely known, which is it's one of those things you have to go hunting for it. But they do exist.
You have to hunt. And if you need help filling the application out, just ask someone. It helps a lot. And I do think it can be allocated better. There's lots of people that are missing it, in my opinion. So I do think lots of people should be actively seeking it out. How did you manage your funds?
So that's one way, being very meticulous and managing your wealth. So for me, I'm very impulsive, and I've kind of said it a few times. Like,
bro, why are you trying to like?
I'm trying to think what's the most.
You did it. that's the answer.
I'm trying to think what's the most.
How did you manage
the most sensible way of saying it? Like, I'm the type of guy, like, I have zero finance I'm very. So I tell you what the funny thing is. I'm very good at managing other people's finance.
Exactly.
Like any new thing, or I would always assume the finance role or strategy, one of these roles, because I'm very good at handling other people's money.
You are very good,
very meticulous with it, and I understand numbers. But when it comes to myself, I'm very blasé about it. Like if I want anything, I'll go and buy it. And let's say if Am said I want to do something, like the next day I'll buy it and it'll be ready for him. Do you know what I mean? And I always used to like that. And stuff like books. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I love reading books, and I'll have loads of different books, and I'll buy it. So I am the person that let me tell you what it is. So basically, I worked throughout medical school. From before even I started medical school, I was working. Yeah. But I was lucky enough to land a proper a finance job. So I used to work for a private hire company in central London, and I used to get paid very well. Which was, I think, looking back in hindsight, the difference as to why I could spend a lot of money. I was working Thursday evenings, and then another evening in the weekend on the evening, and then I used to work weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. There was at one point, even I remember I was working a night shift. So I used to do loads of, so it's complicated.
It's complicated.
So let me tell you, the way I survived medical school, because I didn't apply for the grants and stuff like that, I worked constantly, right? And you work during holidays, and you work even more during summer holidays and whatnot. At one point in medical school, I had 3 jobs. And there was days where I used to sit in exam having worked a night duty stewarding job, and then come the next day and sit in exam, or the mid-session in January. I remember it was a winter night. So it meant that I always had a constant source of income. Bear in mind, I paid off my tuition fees though, innit? I didn't take out a loan, because I don't want to take a loan out. So I worked, and it allowed me to pay off the tuition fee, which you have to pay a massive lump sum. But because I knew X month, every month I'll be getting a certain amount of money, I was able to kind of spend, like you said, I was able to have lunch and whatnot, and able to buy the books I wanted and buy that stuff X, Y, and Z. And it meant I didn't have to ask my parents for money. I thought, at a certain age, I found it personally a bit embarrassing asking my dad for money, who at the time didn't even have much money to go around. So I think the learning from this is, if you're very good at managing your time and organize and feel you can balance socializing, feel you can balance university, there is no harm in having a part-time job. Don't be excessive. Don't be working day and night, but work sensibly and do a job which doesn't tire you out, which is another key thing. So I've done retail, and retail tires you out, whereas the job I did was, remember the story, what happened with you?
Primark.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Right, so what happened was, I think must have gassed me up and said, "Ams, get a job. Yeah. You can balance it." So I got a job at Primark.
Yeah.
And I got in, and I was placed on in their flagship store.
Yeah.
I was placed on the women's floor, and I was at the handbag section.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, for 8-9 hours, I was picking up just bags and constantly, a shelf is this big.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rack everything, fold clothes, put it nicely, get round to the other side, and the other side messed up. And then I go around, and the other side messed up. And imagine doing that non-stop for 9 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember just going home with back pain, with ulcers over my feet. Not really ulcers, but you know what I mean. Just bare tired. And bro, I came to my 5th shift one day, and I remember, right, that day as well, some lady must have come onto the floor. I don't hate on ladies in that, but I'm gonna have to say this. Ladies, right, what they do is they'll pick up a size small, a size medium, a size large of the same top.
Yeah.
They'll randomly try one on and just dash the other 2. Bro, and it's my job to pick that up and fold it. And what happened was, that day I just lost the plot, and then someone else came and wanted the luggage or something, right? And they were like, "Oh, I want the medium one." And then there was different medium ones there, but that means going down to the storeroom at the base, carrying a big box up, and I lost the plot, and I had back pain. And then you know what I did? I just the clothes, I just went threw them over. I went to HR that day, and I went to them, "You know what? I'm walking out of work. I quit. And you don't have to pay me, but keep your money. I don't need it. It's only 5 days, and you pay me £7.13 an hour at the time as well."
Yeah.
And I remember £7.13 an hour
is what we get paid now. Doctors.
Looking back, man,
even less.
that's a lot of money, man. Yeah. But anyways, I remember, man, I just lost the plot, and I remember I left it. So yeah, don't get a tiring job, man.
Yeah, I'd recommend that. Understand what is required of you. Get a job that's not too tiring, because the worst thing is you don't want to feel like you're tired, you haven't recovered, and then you're back to lectures, back to clinics. So luckily the job I did was sitting in the office. It was kind of nice. I was chilled back. I used to invite my friends over. We used to have tea, and I used to be able to work comfortably. But the sad thing about society is, right, like the jobs that are the hardest, working in the kitchen, let's say like my dad, you know, or working in retail, or working as a cab driver, the hard jobs you get paid minimal.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there are jobs where, you know, maybe light on your feet, and you're not, you know, doing back-breaking laborious work, and you get paid loads of money more. But at the same time, I want to understand is, you know, this was supposed to be like a soft topic, but it's becoming very...
You just made it very deep,
bro.
bro.
It's like, at the end of the day, like, people are paid for, like, their expertise, their time, their experience. All the supply and demand sort of stuff,
isn't
like,
it?
you know, and I understand why, you know, different people are paid different amounts, but I genuinely feel that there are certain roles in this country that should be paid a bit more. But going back to what we're saying, I think personally for me, I was able to luckily manage having a part-time job throughout university, working more shifts during free time, and that gave me breathing space. That allowed me to kind of get, you know, lunch like I wanted. I didn't have to bring packed lunch in from home, or I could buy the things I wanted. I could buy the books, go out.
But don't forget, there'd be moments when your money dried up, and
so this happens.
I'd be like, yo, Abdul, what's wrong, man?
Even till today, even when I'm working like a grown guy with a full-time job, right? Week 3, remember, I used to call AMS every week. Week 3, I used to call AMS, and I'm like, bro, I've run out of money. I need 50 quid. You might borrow me until payday. And that's the thing. Like, AMS was so meticulous with money, despite not even having a job. He was high cash reserves. Cash reserves were very good. And it was a godsend, because there was so much. I remember once I went on the bus and I didn't have money in my Oyster card. So I had to get off the bus. I had to call AMS and like, bro, allow it. Just save me some money so I can go to an Oyster card machine or whatever, top it up. And then I jumped on the bus and I borrowed £5. But although I had the money to spend, I didn't earn like loads of money, but I had money to breathe. But I'll be the first to admit I'm very bad at managing finance. And
just your personal one, okay?
Yeah, my personal finance. It's because like I'm that type of guy, like I want to shoot myself and go over, but
which is all due respect, man.
Which fair enough. And I kind of waste all my money, and then I run out and I have to call him, and it's just a constant cycle. But I think as you get older, you learn, and then you start learning about. And I learned a lot of finance management from AMS as well. And once you start, you know, running these things, kind of saving, and I think the rule is, I don't know if this is a rule or myth, is like the 3 thirds, isn't it? Spend a third, save a third, and invest a third, which I think is a fair rule. This guy
reads top books. If you want to know about what books to read, this is your man.
I think we could do a session on the books to read. But I've come to learn a bit more, become more sensible of money and finance. But before we go into the last thing we want to talk about, definitely, if you are someone that's struggling and you need a bit more money, there is no harm in doing a part-time job. And always remember, if you feel like the job isn't for you, you can always quit. I know guys that were like doing Uber. What being medical students.
No, so they'd be in lecture, and then at the end of the lecture, you just see them dash out, and you're like, and then later on you'd ask them, yo, why did you dash out? And they'd be like, turn on my Uber app. Cab.
So like there are ways people do crazy stuff, and nowadays people are like so skillful. They can like, you can do like developing, design, find a skill. Do you know what? It's good.
You know what? On that topic, I actually promote even to my youngest brother right now. I say, learn skills like, you know, all the creative freelance things you can do: photography, videography, design,
music, editing,
all of those things. There's a demand for that currently. If you've got very good skill assets in those fields, you can make money. Right. And we know people who have made their whole tuition fees from design alone. So Abdul, what you proved at med school was that you can have a job. You balanced having a job, you balanced making money, spending money, being a part of society. You managed to do all of those things and get through medical school, right? So I think what you've shown is that yes. So all of those people who ask the question, can I study medicine when I've got a few financial limitations and that my budget is a little bit tight? Well, you've shown that yes, you can get a job and you can manage. And from my side, I hope what I've shown is that you also need to be quite clever about how you spend your money. Don't miss lunches as I did, and don't not register to WhatsApp and things like that, because otherwise you miss out on a load of other stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that budget well and look out for all the grants and the support that is out there to then free up your time to then do all the other things that you love. Right? So I think that covers that question that we've been asked quite a lot.
So in terms of med school, getting the most out of medical school, so we've talked about joining societies. We've joined for people that may be having some sort of financial difficulties, that you can still manage to get a job. And if you still feel reluctant and not too confident in maintaining a job, there are loads of bursaries and grants out there. What else would you say, just to wrap up, we can talk about, so people when they come to university, they can make the most of it, or kind of, the whole concept, don't leave medical school just with a degree. How do they get ahead of the game, let's say?
So this ties into why I valued my time a lot more than if I was to get paid by a retail shop or something like that. With that same time, I wanted to get ahead of the game, right? So I was always out there looking for research projects to do, right? So I was out there emailing consultants, can I do this project, can I do that project? I wanted to get published, I wanted to go to a conference and present my research, like the one that we did. We'll talk about in another episode about the one where we got published in America. Remember that journal? So we actively sort of sought out that project. As well as that, then it comes to things like searching out courses that make you more of an asset, right? So if you have skills like really advanced skills, let's say in surgery. So for example, me and you went to Greece on that really good surgical course, right? On that course for you, it was very beneficial. You had orthopedic operations there. We were doing all the sort of DHSs and all the things like that. And at the same time, we got to laparoscopically test ourselves as well. Those skills, right, only a few will have at med school. Not many will have. Because most will go through the course and will do the course only. Maybe the medical school will teach them some clinical skills which are compulsory. For example, by the time you graduate, I think everyone has to be able to suture and just the basic suture. But we went on courses that taught us all the continuous sutures, the different types sutures, and all of those different types of sutures we learned. So, that Greece course, right? So I would then, as an F1, I entered a competition. There was a competition, and I won the laparoscopic sort of skills competition, right? And people are asking me, how do I know how to use the sort of device so easily? How am I moving my hands so freely in that device, and how is my sort of spatial recognition so good, right? They were like to me, you must have done this before. And obviously I said, yes, I did. I've done this lots of times during med school. And so do you see, your CV gets better and better because as a med school, I had experience laparoscopic training, and then it translated into my F1 year having won a competition. Do you see? My CV is getting stronger and stronger. So different things like that. So it's about finding courses. Look for what's out there. Look for which board can you go through to then do that course.
Another thing is, so the conference in Greece, in Athens, was really good. But these courses and conferences, what they do, they give you a taster of what certain specialties are like. I did the Royal College of Surgeons basic surgical course.
You did that,
which that one you had to pay for it, but it was like £100 at the time, and I thought it was an investment because I wanted to see if I enjoyed surgery. Do I pick up the skills? And by doing these courses, you get the points you need for specialty training. And a key and important thing is, especially when you're having financial troubles, some of these courses are free or very well subsidized for medical students because you can go to the same course, but once in F1 you have to pay a lot more money.
A lot more.
Do you know what I mean? Basic surgical course was £99. But as an F1 it goes up a lot more money. Do you know what I mean?
More than double maybe. And that's important. You said about points. I think those points that you earned was points that are exclusive to if you do the course as a medical student. Am I right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So I didn't do that course. So that means I can't get those points.
So for people that want to pursue surgery, one of the points you need to hit is we can talk about specialty interviews later on, but the specialty interview, they talk about, let's say for surgery, you have to have demonstrated skills or interest from an early stage. When I mean early stage, they expect you to be involved in surgical stuff from 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year. And so I would have got the extra point for attending basic surgical courses. Then I get another point because I was an affiliate member. But affiliate member is £15 a year as a student, but once you graduate it's so much more. So be smart while in med school. So don't be graduated and then realize, oh my days, I've got so much to do to catch up on my portfolio, to catch up and get ahead of the game, when these things you could have been a bit smart. And getting time off from F1 and F2 is so hard, whereas in medical school it's so much easier to take time off for weekends and whatnot to go to these courses and whatnot. However, we do understand that the difficulty we faced
exactly. So
was like finding these courses and conferences.
That's the thing. So even that Greece course, that's so well, it was such a good. I can't rate it high enough to be able to do those.
What was the course? Just so people that are wondering about the course, it's probably very popular among kings now, but we were the first few to go. It's called ES-MSc, Emergency Management of Surgical Skills. It's in Athens.
I think they rotate now. So I think I saw the last advert to be in Istanbul.
So very good course. So it's a 3-day weekend course where you get to go and you get to basically lots of surgical skills. You get to see lots of lectures, and like Am said, don't worry about the money because we got the bursary from King's.
Exactly.
And it was a Santander bursary, by the way. Remember?
Exactly. Santander. Do you see a bank sponsored medical students to go and learn?
And the reason was, so they sponsored us if we were willing to go back and kind of talk to other students about the course and basically promote Santander. So thank you, Santander, for paying for our trip.
Exactly.
And it's also a good time to get away from the country, an opportunity for you to travel and get us together. But going back, like you said, the only way we found out about the course was word of mouth, and it was Abs that told us, really.
Exactly. So that's another issue that I think you find in medical school in particular, is that which course do you go to? We're going to get these messages straight away after this video. What course do you go to? Where do you find these courses? If you're not on Facebook, then you miss out on a lot. There you go. If you're not on Instagram, you miss out on a lot. Do you have to sit there on Google and go through all of those thousands and thousands of courses? Which one's good and which one do you go to? Those questions arise. So you have to sit down, you have to find it. It's so time consuming. That Greece one only came to my knowledge because actually a friend told me. So a friend told me and I told you guys, and then we all went together. Do you see? And it's so rife and lots of opportunity. When I look back, you have to question, right? How many more opportunities did we miss because of that?
Because of lack of information or difficulty finding. And I think that's a big problem in medicine. Because medicine is so vast and broad, it's a bit difficult to find the best courses to go to, find the best conferences or whatever you need to do.
And this is where I think we as a scrubbed in family, so we want to produce, we want to contribute to all of us as a team to move forward together. And for our own development and for now your development, we've actually developed a platform, right, where it helps you guys find all these courses. It actually puts you ahead of the game. So it lets you seek out all of the courses, find different courses, find what you need to do, what skills you can be offered at these courses. You can book them, you can go to them, you can find bursaries from your university, whoever might sponsor you to go to these. And as well as that, the platform offers you a portfolio, right? Another thing that we did in our time was that we had our portfolio scattered.
Yeah.
Right. King's closed my email.
The King's account. So a lot of certificates and stuff are stuck there.
Exactly. And I have no proof now that I did that when I did do that. So it's quite difficult.
Especially as a medical student. Because I remember there's loads of... So I know a lot of people are probably medical school, or there might even be people that are about to graduate F1s, F2s. The two problems we had in medical school was, one, we couldn't find the right courses and conferences. It took forever on Google searching, and it was all based word of mouth, and you didn't know if it was right or wrong. Secondly, you used to get certificates. Well, where do you keep these certificates? They emailed out to you. There wasn't any sort of online log or online source of system. G drive and hard drive, it's all over the place and scattered. Which is, like Am said, the reason why we launched a platform called Medigate with two other close friends of ours who kind of suffered the same problem. And so the founder, who's a very good friend of us, and we'll probably bring him onto the show, Dr. Kunduzi, was that the problem was, oh my days, we were so close to missing out on this amazing course or conference, all because there wasn't a standardized website or one platform where you can go and find the best courses and conferences for your specialty of choice.
Exactly. I think what hit him stronger than anything, than even us, was because he's got his heart absolutely set on surgery. He's going to fly. And for him, it was the concept of, what if I had missed that opportunity that we all went on? What if I missed that? So I think...
And what other opportunities I missed on?
Exactly.
That was one we did. But I guarantee you there are others across the country that we didn't miss on. So that's how the platform was born. We'll probably talk about Medigate a bit more in the future, have a whole episode on it, and we can kind of save all of that stuff when we start talking about startups and medtech and whatnot. But in the meantime, that for people that are medics or postgraduates that are looking for a platform where they can find all the courses and conferences that are good for their specialty, go to www.medigate.co.uk. And more importantly, once you do go to these courses and conferences and you get certificates, you can have an online log. So we've got an online, easy to access portfolio, and it's not just certificates. You can put your audits, your publication,
everything onto that.
You can basically download it ready for a specialty interview. And we designed it because it's a problem we faced, and it's a problem you will face, and we hope that we do a bit.
All of that, we understand it all, so it's all free. It's absolutely completely free for you all. And it's not just to help you guys, to help us as well, because moving forwards now in our career, we need to find the courses.
And we're getting to a stage where we need to get a portfolio ready.
Exactly. So we're going to be going for interviews and things like that. So we need to make sure we're organised as well. So it's a platform for all of our scrubbed in family as well, isn't it? I think that's about it.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap up, to make the most of med school, I would say definitely get involved in societies. Make sure you have some sort of committee role, or if not, make your own society. And even if you don't want to have a role, if you don't want to have any sort of responsibilities, make sure you attend events, make sure you network, make sure you meet lots of different people. For people that may have some sort of financial difficulties, there's bursaries available, there's grants available. You can go to your local council, and if you're really strapped for cash, to say, you can get like a part-time job in holidays. And the third thing you can do, lots of different courses and conferences. Try to get ahead of the game. You can do all these courses that will look good on your CV, that will give you that added edge when you come to F1 and F2, and even more so when you do specialty. I think with medicine, because our career is so long, you need to think about it the same way you did work experience to get into medical school when you were in year 10, year 11. Now is the time in medical school to start thinking, what do I need to do now to help me do well in my interviews, to go pursue surgical training or specialty training on my route to become a consultant. And finally, the most important thing is, I know me and Amzi always bang on about doing things outside of medicine and outside of med school, but your priority first and foremost is for you to work hard and study hard and pass medicine. At the end of the day, regardless of all the extra and amazing things you're doing, running a society, doing these courses and conferences, it's all well and good, but if you are unfortunate or you don't get to get through med school, then it's all in vain. So the main thing I would say is, make sure you work hard, make sure you focus and study, and make sure your priority is medicine. Make sure you work and pass.
Not just pass, man. You need to make sure you're getting the distinctions, the merits, the awards, winning competitions. You need to do all of that. Think about it, like you said, if we didn't have the MBBS after our names, it kind of negates everything. I don't think anyone would want to listen. They just think we're two donuts.
So it would all be in waste and effort.
Exactly.
And you just want to build as an individual, both mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. However, and these are the things that will help you do it. But don't get too caught up, and it's that whole saying, don't bite off more than you can chew. Because personally, we've seen even very close friends of us that have to retake the year or take some time off because they took on more they can do. So do prioritize your education. Do prioritize medicine.
Disclaimer like someone's gonna sue you, man.
Nah, because it's important.
Disclaimer.
No, it's not a disclaimer, but it's important because I don't want people to all of a sudden drop medicine and be like, these guys did it, I want to go and do it.
No, 100%. I agree. But what we're trying to show you is that you can absolutely smash medicine, but you can do so much more. That's what we're trying to now promote you guys all to be at an even better level. That's what it is all 100%.
About. Get your £9,000 worth. It's £9,000 a year now, isn't it? It might be 12 grand by the time.
Don't know.
Make sure you get your £9,000 worth. So when people say it, and my friend said this to me, and he said, I don't know why people complain about paying £9,000 a year to go medical school or to go university. It is a lot of money, and I think education should be very heavily subsidized or even free. But relatively, he was saying, after he graduated, the amount of stuff he was able to achieve, the links he made, the networks he made, the amount of massive things as organizations he ended up running was worth £9,000 every year, because he did other stuff outside of medicine.
Exactly.
So I think we've badgered on, talked a lot. I think it would be a very nice time to wrap up. So once again, thank you all for listening.
Thank you all.
And as usual, down below on the description, we'll give our 3 nuggets of wisdom on how to make the most of med school. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends and family. And once again, we want to give the Scrubbed In family a massive thank you for all the support they've given us so far. And we hope to see you next week.